Hello, folks. Today, 26 October, year of our Lord, year of my Lord, 2018. This is the legendary Jeff Davis Show, baby. Here's my buddy. Here's one of our loved ones, Alvin Neal Davis. Alvin, say hello to everybody. Legendary, baby. 26 October. This will be another one of those videos, YouTubes, whatever we do with it, that if it's allowed to stay up on the internet, if the internet stays, up, and if free thought advocacy is allowed to stay up, this is going to be where it's at, baby. As the world continues to deteriorate, and it's going to deteriorate by design. A deliberate deterioration of the entire world is underway, and has been for a long time, but it's near its final operations. Now, first off, I want to talk about the Jeff Davis Show a little bit, just for a minute. I've been actually broadcasting from radio and television studios for nearly 30 years. First as a U.S. congressional candidate in Austin, Texas in 1990 on a TV and radio guest appearances. And then, of course, the long-running Jeff Davis Show out of Channel Austin TV studios, KFIT, AM radio here in Austin, Texas, and as an international radio host, nationally syndicated radio host on the Liberty Works radio network from 1995 to 2005, and many international shortwave radio stations. So this is the best thing I do. At this point, other than acting, this is really the only thing I know how to do. And and even if you count in 1976 and 1977, I actually attended a TV media class, a high school TV media class. It was a half a day at Stowe, Ohio High School. Now, I went to Kent Roosevelt High School and graduated from Kent Roosevelt High School, but this was a specific program only offered in Stowe High School, a TV media class, and that was actually a half a day. And that was actually the first time I've been in front of cameras and did storytelling. And I was an amateur boxer those days. I did some reporting, some video reporting on some of the basics of boxing and different things. So I've pretty much 31 years of this. Am I going to say this is the last hurrah for the Jeff Davis Show? I'm not going to say that. My life has been so remarkable, step by step by step, piece by piece by piece. I just don't know where. I don't rule anything out. I don't even rule out the chance that we'll actually have world peace in my lifetime. I'm just not ruling nothing out. So this is one thing I believe the God of Abraham gave me the wisdom to see through the lies of the world today, the talent to storytell it, and the protection to keep doing it without any fear of retaliation. So today's subject is very critical. It's concerning the entire international drug system. Now, number one, Mexican drug sellers they're small time. They're not bringing They haven't created the opioid addiction or anything like that. Uh, uh, the the world order mafia, the black nobility and the British royal family, and through the Committee of 300, a secret society, highly secretive society of rich families. They're actually uh, manufacturing and distributing and profiting from bringing in drugs to virtually every country in the world. Um, the United States military, the Fed Bank Finance United States military, is currently protecting Afghan opium fields until at least 2024. That's their agenda. There's hundreds of U.S. troops protecting Afghan opium fields. You don't have to believe me, just Google it. There's all kinds of stories that come up about it. In fact, the DOD has even admitted it to an extent that's what's going on there. And so they're protecting the opium fields for the British royal family, black nobility, and their operations to distribute all different kinds of drugs virtually into every nation on planet Earth. It's their operation. The CIA has long since been known to be a major distributor. The CIA is one of their operations, created by the Council on Foreign Relations. So CIA and other distributors are bringing these drugs, all kinds of different drugs, into every nation on planet Earth. So they're profiting on the front end with manufacturing. They bring it in here. Most of the profits are stored away in major banks, and then ultimately it goes to the world bankers for the Queen and her servants. Now that's the front end. They're creating it. They're creating all this opioid crisis and all that. In fact, Donald Trump, who was nothing more than a New World Order agent, he's surrounded by secret society people, CFR, Skull and Bones, Bilderbergs, and Wilbur Ross, the U.S. Commerce Secretary, is a longtime banking director for the Rothschild banking dynasty. So there's literally a Rothschild lackey in the White House. Now, I bring that up because during this last United Nations General Assembly, which is one of the world banking front groups, war-making entity, and Trump actually peddled and got like 100 nations, it was reported, to actually go along with increasing the war on drugs on the back end on over 100 nations, like the Philippines, this Duarte guy. People are just being slaughtered with their alleged war on drugs in the Philippines. Well, that's kind of where Trump's wanting to go with it. Well, he's not wanting to go with it. Basically, he's just doing the bidding for his master, the black nobility, Queen of England. So they profit on the front end by the distribution, worldwide distribution, and then they also profit on the back end, which is once the drugs are in here, it's the old Hegelian dialectic. They're creating the crisis, bringing it all in here, and then they create fear and hysteria and blame it on drugs, which are nothing more than inanimate objects. You could put a bag of heroin in a corner of a room and it'll stay there for 1,000 years without any human activity. But these people will, through the control of the media, they blame the inanimate objects for societal problems, whether it be pot or heroin or whatever, guns, the internet. They blame these inanimate objects as the reason for crackdowns. So, let me get my thought here. Okay, so anyway, once the drugs are in here, and then they peddle the opioid crisis, which they created. Then they turn around and have a drug war on the people of those nations, including a big one here in America, which has produced the world's largest prison state ever known in the history of mankind. I mean, people are getting life sentences for alleged pot possession here in America, the land of the free. So, but by this, you got to understand, here it comes down to again, this is what, with the people that are beginning to become concerned about what's going on around the world and here in America, this is the thing you have to understand. Sir Mayor Rothschild publicly stated, and he was proud of it, that if you allow me to control the money of a nation, I care not who makes its laws. And that's the key to understanding all of this. Because the drug war, the DEA, all these cops running around, the DEA, all these jails and prisons and courts, all this shit that they've created under the guise of inanimate objects wars, because that's all drugs are, is inanimate objects, that people consume voluntarily at their own risk. But they exploit it. They blame the inanimate objects, the drugs, pot or whatever, and then they capitalize because these central banks are financing the cops, the DEA, the prisons, the courts, all the different shit that you see, and again at the suffering and misery of millions of people worldwide, really. A lot of loved ones now sitting in America's prisons that haven't done a damn thing other than been allegedly caught with the possession of a plant. And then this operates several ways. Once you get caught, once you get that on your record, then you have trouble, seeking employment. And you have to go to underground meaning a low-level drug seller to maybe, or some other, illegal black market gambling ring or something to try to make some money. And then those are illegal. So then your whole life is just destroyed. They destroy it, and they don't care because like I say, they're financing all the prisons and everything else. So this is going on in every country in the nation, whether it's Venezuela, Colombia, Mexico. The drug enforcers, the cops, are the real terrorists. They and essentially so is the U.S. military, who are protecting the opium fields in Afghanistan. They're working for the world order. And not only that, they're also basically just pawns being used and mass murderers slaughtering millions of people around the world, like in Yemen and Afghanistan. And so they own the militaries of the world. They own the police of the world. They profit from the front end of the worldwide drug distribution, and then they profit on the back end with these drug wars in these countries, including America. It's a silent war, and this is what's happening. there are a handful of people that are orchestrating this, and they control the media. Rothschild and these people, they control the CFR media here in America. You're just not going to hear this because they control it. But like I say, if this video is allowed to stay online for any amount of time, and if it's shared, as the world continues to deteriorate by design, it's going to deteriorate. These world order phony world politicians that you see on TV and these world order media hacks, they're not going to save you. They're working for the world order. They're not going to save you. This video, if it's allowed to stay up on the internet, is the information the world masses desperately need. And I praise the God of Abraham for basically opening my eyes to all this, because I haven't always been this way. So that's what's going on. A few handfuls of families, the World Order Mafia, I call them, they're bringing the drug, they're manufacturing and distributing the drugs around the world. And then they profit from that. Then they turn around and have a war on drugs in all their different countries, and they profit from that. Richard Nixon, who signed in the drug war, was a world order operative. I mean, he's on audio calling for a new world order back in '71. So he was just and now Trump did the same thing at the UN and wanting to. So it's so obvious to me at this point that, frankly, I can't see why more people don't see through this. But like I say, I'm thankful for the Jeff Davis show. I consider the Jeff Davis show legendary. We've done all kinds of classic reporting from Williamson County, Texas, criminal law enforcement. Right at 3 miles up the road here, arguably the most criminal county law enforcement apparatus in America. And I've got the evidence to prove it. And all kinds of things. We've stood up for the Branch Davidians who were slaughtered in Waco, Texas in '93. The Jeff Davis show was the leading broadcast, radio and TV, opposing the lies from the FBI in 1993. Back here is the legendary Jeff Davis show banner. This was hung high and proudly during several of our United Nations rallies that we had back in the 1990s here in Austin, Texas, at the state capitol in Austin, Texas. Finally, I want to say that the Jeff Davis show broadcast version is, right now anyway, as of this moment, back. We're doing YouTubes, we're doing the other video, Periscope. In fact, we're working on hooking this thing up live to do live broadcasts and have viewers be able to call in live. So, the Jeff Davis show, baby, it has returned. I can have guests call in. I can have guests in the studio here. And this is one of the things God intended me to do. So I'm doing it. So with that, 26 October, you just learned the most important lesson about what's going on with the whole world war on drugs, manipulation, racket, profiteering, and death and misery scheme that all this is causing. So with that, baby, Jeff Davis Show, 26 October 2018. Piss on the New World Order and the war on drugs. Shove it up your asses. Peace, baby.